Now, Jarvis, you're married. You've been married for what, a decade now?
Yeah,
So
almost 11 years. Yeah.
exactly. So you
Yeah.
know what it feels like to be in love. And
Yes.
although I don't have a
Absolutely.
ring on it quite yet, I do know how it
It's
feels to
coming.
be in love and to love something or somebody, right?
Right.
Well, I think we liked the pick last
I
night.
like the player. Let me say, I like the
Yeah.
player.
But
I
I
like the
don't
player.
know that we loved it. I don't know that we were in love with the pick of Bijan Robinson at number 8. Now, look, everybody, we are excited, like you said, about the player. This guy really is versatile and he can do so many things. I mean, he's that guy who can he can run up and down the field, or he can be a bruiser like Tyler Algier if needed. He can catch out of the backfield. We're talking about the guy who was fourth in receptions on Texas team last year, right? And every
Hmm.
year he's jumping 8 receiving touchdowns for a running back. That's pretty darn impressive. And I
Right.
keep talking about that piece because we do know that the versatility is what was the most attractive thing to Arthur Smith, right? So needed to preface by saying it's fine. We understand the rationale for going after him. But Jarvis, you liked it, but you didn't love it. Before we get into the nitty gritty, who, not named Jalen Carter, would have made you say, "Ooh, I love this pick"?
Wow. I think I was on board with you from the standpoint with your mock draft. By the way, if you haven't seen that, man, go check out that mock draft. From a cornerback standpoint, I was starting to come around on that, right? Because when you saw Devin Witherspoon, goodness gracious, the man is just super uber aggressive. Like we talked about Devin Witherspoon. I'm just like, and from what I'm hearing or I have heard that the Falcons were really liked
Yes,
him as well.
they
So
did. They
that I
did.
would have absolutely loved that because it would have made sense, right? Like you talking about building something out and continue
Indeed.
to stack the deck on defense. I want them to have more than enough guys that can go
Indeed.
out there and do what they need to do on Sunday because that defense has been so like not having guys that anybody can game plan for or anybody that they're scared of. Like we've been talking about for years. Like, oh yeah, we know Grady Jarrett. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody knows they got a game plan for him. That's cool. But when you think about outside of that, you don't like
Nope.
nothing, especially up front, specifically up front. So that is a problem in my eyes, and I've
Mhm.
all and I don't mind admitting my bias as well. I'm a former defensive lineman, so yeah, I want to see some guys put their hand in the dirt that I know on third and long going to get home. That's
Yes.
it. And however you feel about that, that's fine. I don't care. But right as of right now, T, like I did some digging, right? So I started doing a little research. Like guys who projected as a start on the defensive line, all of them are over 30 or at the age of 30. So
Right. I said the same thing, Jarvis.
who's
Who's
the
the
guy
guy?
you're going to pass the baton to
Yep.
and contribute right now and be a
Yep.
game changer right now? Because Terry Fontenot said it himself. He said
Hmm.
best player available is
Yes.
about thinking about the future as well. So I'm like, all right, man, okay, Tyler Algier is going to be around here for at least 3 more years. He got 1,000 yards. That record, he broke a rookie rushing record that hadn't been broken since 1979. And William Andrews, for you
Man.
old Falcon fans, I know who I'm talking about. So I'm like, okay, that's why that's where the disdain comes in. You know what I mean? Like I said, I like the player. I get it. I understand the talent is there. It's cool. It's great to look at. It's all
Hmm.
cute. But
Hmm.
if the Falcons end up being 7-10, T, like are we gonna turn back and the offense only average what 20 points a game?
Right.
Like
It's gonna,
why?
yeah, yeah.
Why?
Or
I'm gonna
even,
be asking why.
yeah, or even if it's 8 and 9, right? And you
Yeah.
start
And you
looking,
don't
and
miss
you,
you miss the playoffs. You know what I'm
exactly,
saying? Like,
right.
come
And
on.
you start looking around your own division, where
All
your
right.
own division, other than Bryce Young, of course, but your own division leaned defense in the first round.
Kalijah Kancey with
Elijah
down there in
Cansey,
Tampa
exactly,
Bay. Like
right. And
nobody saw that
Brissy,
coming.
exactly, Brissy, he went to the Saints, so
Yes.
they're looking at it like, okay, yeah, we have a young
If
core
he
of
can stay
quarterbacks.
healthy, T, the Falcons better watch out.
Exactly.
If he
That's
can stay
that's my
healthy,
point too.
they
Because
better
if you're
watch out.
talking about a
That
young
boy can
core of
play.
quarterbacks in the NFC South,
Yes.
it looks like the other teams are saying, but it's a good core of quarterbacks. So we're about to get ready. to make sure that we either get him on the ground or we put some pressure on him. So that was a little bit of a concern. But I wanted to just touch on something else that you said before I move on. And that's, to me, that's very important because you were talking about the fact that you haven't seen from Tyler Algier, what you saw from him, you haven't seen in over 3 decades, right? So that said, now let me switch it up. When is the last time you saw a lights out? Oh my God, the Falcons' top 10 defense, the Falcons' defense is the truth. Has it not also been decades on top of decades? I mean, other than Grady
At
Jarrett,
least 20 years, T.
and I leaned exactly, and I leaned in your direction because I knew that you would be able to like envision the
At
last
least
time
20.
you saw the Falcons in the trenches be able to dictate a game. And
Yeah.
so that I think was my concern as well. Now, of course, Jarvis, yes, there's still the second round, and a guy that you and I like, one whom you've seen up close and personal, Keon White is still out there, and he
He's
is
there.
on most boards. He's being looked at as the best available. So if you're still going with
He's there.
best player available. If BPA is still your thing, well, let us see you go after the likes of a Keon White, or when we go in the other side of the trenches, there are still our guys, Avila and Torrance,
John
that are
Michael
still
Smith.
out.
And John Michael Smith.
And
Yeah,
see,
Torrance is still there too. That
there it is.
is, it's some
So
good big boys in that middle on the offensive line. So yeah.
yeah, so we
I don't want to
I
hear
still like that. Yeah, I still like that. But Jarvis, you also answered another question that I had, which for myself, which was, did the Falcons do enough on the defensive side of the ball in free agency to focus this much on offense so early in the draft? And I have to agree with you. I had said no because I was looking at it from a long-term standpoint,
it.
right?
Yes.
And yeah, we do have Arnold David KT. I do think that he's going to show up and show out. I think if Richie Grant, I'm just giving a few examples.
Of
I think
course.
Richie Grant, if he comes back healthy, he'll be just fine, so on and so forth. But I'm not sold, for example, on Troy Anderson. So even if you went out there and got yourself a linebacker, I might have been okay because, again, we're looking for dudes,
Yeah.
meaning that person comes and hits the ground running, just like you said, makes an impact now, and
Day
is set
one.
up to make an impact in the future. And I still don't know that the Falcons have that guy. Hopefully, they'll get that guy in the second round because, like we just said, that guy's still out there. But that said, now that they've made the choice to go after who's still a generational player, Bijan Robinson, does this mean that the Falcons absolutely have to try to shore up the trenches in the second and third rounds?
They have to, and whether it's on the defensive side or the offensive side, because of what you just mentioned, right? Torrance, Osiris Torrance was projected to go in the back end of the first round. He failed. Avila, he's sitting right there right now, and
Yeah.
also my guy John Michael Smith out of Minnesota. Like, if they draft him, I will be okay. I will almost be at the point where
At peace.
I'll be at peace. I'll be at peace with this draft early right
Yeah.
now. Like, if they draft him, I'll be like, okay, all right, I'm cool
Yep.
now. All right, Terry, do your
We're
thing,
good.
bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like,
Mhm.
I like dudes that, like you mentioned, dudes. They're dudes.
Dude.
Like,
Yeah.
there's some meaning behind that, behind that terminology. When T says dudes and I say dudes, like, those are people that you want to be around and guys that you want to see, you want to know, and you know for a fact what they're gonna bring to the table. Am I talking about relationships or football? I don't know, but anyway.
I'm taking notes though, but okay.
But yeah, those are the type of players that I like to watch on every Sunday because T and I have been in that press box. Y'all don't understand how this thing goes. Like, there are certain things that we have become used to, and I am so tired of it. I'm tired of it. Like that. I think people need to understand like where we're coming from when we talk about this whole defense thing, T. Because
Yeah.
we talked about not having a top 10 defense. I think it was 1998,
92? 98? Oh, okay.
98,
98.
98. Yeah, the Dirty Bird defense.
Okay.
But and then even in the defense for 2016, it was middle of the road.
It was
But guess
still-
what? They still were able to sack the quarterback and get turnovers because not only did Vic Beasley lead the league in sacks that year, he led the league in forced fumbles, game-changing type stuff, disruptive type stuff.
Right.
They don't have that right now. I'm sorry. I didn't see that from Troy Anderson. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't admit that. I didn't see that from Richard Grant last season. I can't admit that.
And
I
Vic
can't
was
sit up
that
here.
guy because he had guys around him Can you imagine if like a Jalen Carter or some, was, and I don't mean in the same space as big, but you know what I mean. If you
Yeah,
got
I know what
this
you mean. Yeah.
guy, and then he's got guys like Calais Campbell and Grady Jarrett, that's where we are. But we stay positive and we say there is still a second round, and there's still a guy out there by the name of Keon White, whom Jarvis has seen up front and really, really does think highly of. And we've heard some good things from some scouts, other scouts on him as well, people who believe there's a possibility that he could find his way in Flowery Branch. Now, we just want to thank you guys because we appreciate you so very much for being our
Yes.
everydayers. Listen, we've been having fun in these comments and in these DMs with you guys and your
Yes,
commentary
Lord.
on the draft. Keep it coming because you know
Yeah.
what? We might shout you guys out when we do our complete synopsis and our complete summary, rather, of the entire draft come Monday. So keep it here like you always do. Check us out on YouTube and, of course, wherever you download your podcast.